Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is November 12th, 2023, and let's get to the news happening in Ukraine, shall we? But before I begin, I just want to talk a little bit about Remembrance Day, November 11th. It was yesterday, and I hope that you guys took the time and the moment to remember, those men and women, maybe your family members that sacrificed, laid down their lives for the values that all of us stand for in the democratic world. And let's also remember that the Ukrainians are doing the exact same thing. They're continuing this fight because this is a fight that will be ongoing forever, unfortunately. The forces of evil and good are always going to be present. And so Ukraine is continuing this fight for democracy, for all the values that we stand for. And I just want to pay my respect to any veterans and also, people, even in my own family, that laid down their lives to get rid of evil. I want to go back now to the main subject, and that is the winter. So we know that obviously now it's the middle of November, we're heading into December, and the temperatures will drop to -0 most likely in Ukraine. And we know already what Russia's planning to do, and that is continuing the same strategy they did last year with Surovikin when Surovikin was in charge, and that is to target Ukrainian power infrastructure and other key infrastructure that Ukrainians are utilizing. And so there's definitely no denying that the Russians will continue on this tactic. And what I liked about this article that came out today, citing the interview with the Ukraine energy minister, Halushenko, saying that if Russia's planning to do such attacks on Ukraine, nothing will stop the Ukrainians from, doing eye to an eye. And that means that Ukraine now is considering the possibility of also attacking Russia's oil and gas infrastructure if Moscow continues and ramps up its targeting of Ukraine's electric system this winter. I think it's an excellent tactic, and it warns the Russians of the consequences of them using these tactics. And I fully support that. Again, let's also remember that for Ukraine, they're also much better prepared at stopping these Russian missile attacks for this winter. Now they have some of the best systems, air defense systems in the world. The nomenclature is massive. You can see Patriots, NASAMS, RST systems, Avengers, they obviously have their Soviet legacy systems, Gepards. So Ukraine has really received some great weapons, some great air defense systems that will help them to protect their skies. Of course, it's not going to be 100% rate of destruction for Ukraine, but it will really cover at least the majority of the sky and really make life difficult for the Russians to terrorize the Ukrainian people, because that's their tactic nowadays, is to scare off the Ukrainians, terrorize them, and just weaken them to the point that they will have to give up. And so I think that Ukraine also needs to, as mentioned in this article, to destroy as a response Russia's gas and oil infrastructure, which will severely cripple their economy, because Russia, let's face it, is a massive gas station for the world. They sell mainly, the main economy of Russia is selling its raw resources, whether it be oil, gas, minerals. That's what Russia is there for. They haven't innovated anywhere else. And so I think that really destroying these factories, these refineries that are helping Russia earn revenue to fund the war, because we know that Russia is going all in into funding for this war in Ukraine, is really going to help Ukraine to destabilize and eventually collapse the Russian regime. Additionally, I've brought up the fact that the Ukraine forces also need to have more, they have more capacity, but they also need to focus on destroying and cutting off Russian logistics to freeze out the Russian soldiers in Ukraine, right? Play this game against them, against their Russian soldiers, and freeze them out. And I think that Ukraine is much better prepared for that. They have long-range drones, swarms of them. They have obviously destroyed a lot of Russian artillery the last few months. Every single day it's about between 15 to 30 artillery systems that Russia's losing. And so really Russia isn't as strong as it was last year. So I see that as a very positive development as well. So overall, you guys can see that unfortunately, Russia will continue with its terrorist attacks during the winter, but Ukraine is better prepared, and Ukraine now can answer back at Russia as well. Additionally, this is another huge development. I've talked about these types of events that need to occur more frequently in Russia, And yesterday, there was a huge blast that derailed a Russian cargo train that was apparently carrying a mystery white substance in Ukrainian. Now, allegedly, this is the article that says that it was a Ukrainian sabotage attack. So we don't know, but most likely it could be a Ukrainian sabotage attack. What is interesting is this mysterious white powder. And I'm not really sure what it is. Maybe some of you guys know. They're saying this is mineral fertilizer. Is it normal that they're carrying mineral fertilizer, in the middle of November? I'm not really sure, but this could very well be a very pinpoint attack from Ukraine's side because they know what kind of cargo was in this, in this train. So I'm interested in hearing your opinions about what was this mysterious white powder that they say white power, but it's white powder that was found in these overturned wagons. And so I think, as I said to you guys, it's crucial that Ukraine continues on targeting these industries, these railway lines. The gunpowder factory, actually, right after I uploaded my video on Friday, there was a massive explosion in the city of Kotovsk in Russia, which had a massive gunpowder factory as well. So again, if that's Ukraine's doing, this is great because Ukraine needs to really triple, quadruple the amount of strikes on Russian soil and specifically military targets. That's extremely, extremely crucial. So it will weaken Russia's war effort overall. Now, I want to go back to the map and just talk a little bit briefly about a few events that occurred throughout the front line. So first of all, in Melitopol today, there was an explosion in the center of the city of Melitopol. Most likely, Ukrainian partisans blew up a command center, which killed, now, according to rumors, a few Russian commanders. So that's great. Additionally, the Russians in the left bank are saying that they're very scared and worried now of traveling on this, one of the main roads that connects all these villages close to the left bank of the Dnieper River. Oleshki, Kozachyi Lageri, Krinki, even Nova Kakhovka. The Russians are using, as you can see, this main highway that connects all these villages and cities. And they're saying that Ukrainians have really good control with drones and artillery over this road. And I've seen a video today of Russians calling this the road to hell because they never know when an FPV drone, a Ukrainian FPV drone, can strike them. Now, there's another video I saw today of Russian, two Russian soldiers traveling on a motorcycle. They were obliterated by an FPV drone that was flying much faster than they were, which is pretty crazy because we know that motorcycles can go very fast, very quickly. So these FPV drones have really changed the nature of warfare, and they're super fast as well. They can go up to 100 kilometers an hour, so that's really impressive. And, the Ukrainians right now, what they're really working on is making swarms of these drones. And we've really seen, the amount of funds being raised to build these FPV drones and different types of drones. So Ukraine is really tripling, quadrupling its production of drones, whatever type. That could be reconnaissance drones like the DJIs, that could be the first-person view drones that can fly now up to 25 kilometers away from the operator to strike, Russian positions. You have also these massive, drones that have kind of 8 propellers that can carry a much bigger payload. They're more precise, that the Ukrainians have developed as well, that can fly at night with really great thermal imagery. It's crazy, but I think that's really helping the Ukrainians. And we've seen how these first-person view drones have been crucial for Ukraine to defend Avdiivka. Every single day, we see a compilation of videos of the Ukrainians utilizing first-person view drones to destroy, single Russian tanks or convoy of Russian armored vehicles, whether it be in the north of Avdiivka or in the south, where the Russians are relentlessly attacking the Ukrainians right now to try to take Avdiivka because their Tsar told them to, and they will continue dying. Even if there's 40,000 Russian troops right now poised for another attack, and even if all of them die, Putin will send 100,000, he'll send 200,000. And that's the unfortunate nature of this war, is that the Russians have no morality and they're absolutely okay to die. And we need to understand that, because a lot of people think that surely at 300,000 or at 500,000 soldiers, the Russians will stop. Of course, there is a point where everybody will have to stop. But the Russians have a much higher tolerance to death, much higher tolerance to rebel against their superiors. And that's unfortunate because they will not stop. And I really want to highlight that. That's really important to understand. So going back to the main subject line, is that the first-person view drones and these long-range drones that Ukraine has really developed the last few years have been crucial at stopping these Russian attacks throughout the front line. And let's face it, the Russians are also now developing their own drones. This is not just a one-way street, which has made this war much more complicated down the line, because the Russians have the Lancet drones, they also have the first-person view drones of Ukraine, and they're also utilizing them. So this makes this war extremely difficult, and thus why Zaluzhny has talked about positional warfare. It's not about now big breakthroughs like we saw in 2022. It's about, gaining ground, which would allow you to then slowly erode and chip away your enemy. And this is what the whole, the current warfare in Ukraine is all about. So this is just a general talk about the map, the first-person view drones, what is going on in Kherson and Avdiivka. So far as well, in Avdiivka, the Russians have not been able to encircle it. It remains to be seen, because we know that they will relentlessly continue attacking. And like they did in Bakhmut, despite the huge colossal losses that Wagner, the Storm Z units, even the regular Russian forces have incurred in Bakhmut, they still got it. And I worry that with Avdiivka, the Russians simply won't care. And Avdiivka is far worse, based on what I'm seeing right now, than Bakhmut for the Russians. Zaluzhny now said that the Russians lost 10,000 troops here. They lost over 100 or 200 tanks or 250 armored vehicles, 100 tanks. Massive losses in a matter of 1 month of this offensive, right? But it seems like they just will not stop. So let me know what you guys think about my comments here about Avdiivka. What do you guys think is that mysterious white powder in the wagons of that train that derailed in Ryazan? I'm eager to hear. And thank you again, guys. I really appreciate your support. I love reading your comments. And if you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel, like my video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and Slava Ukraini!